Hi everyone, welcome to video number 2 on our billing. I wanted to just quickly finish up talking about retainers because I did feel a little rushed at the end when I noticed that I was going to run out of time on the video. As I mentioned, a retainer is a sum of money that a client pays an attorney upfront at the outset of a representation. It's usually a substantial sum of money. Think $5,000, $10,000, even $20,000. What we'll learn about in our next unit is where that money actually goes, because it doesn't go right into the attorney's pocket to go spend. It goes into a trust account set up by the attorney's office, and we'll talk about that next unit. But the way that that retainer is advantageous is that it sets up that attorney-client relationship where the attorney says, I'll represent you, and I'm not going to take on someone with adverse interest in this matter. That's the piece number one. And then, as I mentioned, piece number two is that it operates as a sum of money from which the attorney can pay themselves for the work that is done after that work has been done. So they can take money from the retainer. I'm sorry, I got cut off. So they take money from the retainer. The last thing I want to mention on this introductory slide, I can't believe I'm still on slide number 1, is what we call the American system versus the fee reversal system. In the American legal system, most clients pay their own attorney's fees. A lot of clients don't think that's true. They think I've been wronged and therefore the other party should be paying my attorney's fees. And that can happen sometimes in a fee reversal situation. But most of the time, we think of it this way, that under the American system, attorneys are paid for by their own clients. So that's something to just discuss up front when the attorney sets the relationship with the client and discusses the fee to make sure that clients understand that. Okay, so that finally finishes slide number 1. I want to talk to you all about paralegal time. As we've already mentioned in our videos here and as mentioned in the chapter, paralegal time is billable. This is really important for you all as a profession, for the profession of being a paralegal. And it goes to the heart of why you're taking these classes, why you're at an ABA approved school, is that your time is worth something. The work that you do as a paralegal is substantial and requires extra training, and the time that you bill your clients for that work reflects that. And you can see that it went all the way up to a U.S. Supreme Court case in 1989 to designate that paralegal time is worth time that is billed to clients, and in this particular case actually had to do with recovery of fees. In a case where attorney's fees were recovered, the question came up as to whether paralegal fees could be recovered. And the court spent time talking about paralegal tasks and paralegal time. So that is something to think about as you look for jobs, and the work that you do is that substantial legal work that you do is not only billable to the clients, but recoverable in a case where attorney's fees are recoverable. What's the key to focus on for your paralegal work? I mentioned the Taylor versus Chubb Group Insurance case here on the slide, but you can also see the next case. There's a couple of cases discussed on those 2 pages of your book. Think about the tasks that you are doing as a paralegal that is separate from what we would call administrative tasks. So that would include legal research, interviewing witnesses, helping clients, preparing documents, conducting document review, preparing exhibits, setting out deposition notices, scheduling depositions. These are all paralegal tasks that are billed to clients and are also recoverable as fees. What is not included is the more secretarial or receptionist tasks. That's not going to be it's part of everyone's job to answer the phones, but we're talking about the more substantive paralegal work, and that is what is billed to the client. So take a look at those 2 case examples. I think they lay out really well the significant work that the paralegals do versus a secretary or a receptionist in a law office. Okay, I just went ahead. Sorry about that. Last but not least, I just wanted to mention a little bit about billing the client when we actually prepare the bill and send the bill to the client. I mentioned this here in this unit because that is a paralegal job in terms of preparing the bill and sending it to the client. Most clients are billed monthly for the services. There might be a month where there is not a bill, but expect to bill the client monthly for the services that are rendered from your firm. One of the things I mentioned here that is the attorney role is to set up the billable arrangement itself, but it's really important that the letter you send to the client in closing the bill is clear. It needs to say when the bill is due and what if there's interest for non-payment. All of that needs to be clear up front, because truthfully, you're going to be the first phone call that's made is going to come to you if the client has any questions about the bill. So just be prepared ahead of time to make it very clear in the letter that is sent, that way you can avoid some questions. I would actually recommend also even looking over the list that's on page 160 in your book. I'm not going to spend time reading it to you in this PowerPoint, but take a look. There's some really, really good advice here about what happens if your client has questions about the bill so that you can be prepared in advance. It's always better to explain things ahead of time to the client than to receive angry, upset phone calls when they receive a bill. So this was a much shorter PowerPoint. I got out most of what I wanted to say in the first recording. And by the way, I'm going to mention it in another video that I've made for you guys for this unit. But the discussion board this week we're not going to talk about billing on the discussion board. So if you have any questions about this unit, feel free to still put them on the discussion board. I don't want you to feel like there's not an opportunity to talk about this unit. Of course there is, but I'm going to ask you to be doing something different with this unit's discussion board so that we can get ready for the midterm project. So if you have any questions, don't be shy and certainly let me know.